Silver Linings Playbook is a 2012 romantic comedy. It's directed by David O. Russell, with a screenplay by David O. Russell, based on The Silver Linings Playbook by Matthew Quick.
It stars Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, Robert De Niro, and Jackie Weaver.
The budget for this movie was right around $21 million, with a box office take of $236.4 million.
The tomato meter rating is 92%, with an audience score of 86%.
Based on the book, Silver Linings Playbook follows Pat, a man struggling with bipolar disorder who just recently checked out from inpatient care. And as Pat tries to get his life back together and tries to get back together with his wife, he finds out that life does not always go as planned. So this is actually one of my favorite movies ever. And I hate romantic comedies normally. This is a weird movie for me because it has a lot of the things that I normally can't fucking stand in movies, but for some reason I absolutely love this movie. I think that there is a lot incredibly well done. I think that the acting is great. I think the story is great. I think that there's the whole tone, the look of the movie. I think everything is really, really great about this movie. I feel that it's the story and the portrayal of everything is really real, really raw. And there's not really much I can say bad about this movie. I honestly adore it. So to give this any kind of verdict, I have to give this a yes. I think that it is, when we talk about the term that I kind of jokingly made up, the life movies, this to me is like the quintessential life movie. It's going to make you laugh, it's going to make you cry, and it has a lot of stuff you could take away to think about. How do you feel about this one?
Okay, I have a lot of issues with this one, but I also feel like there were some good things about it, and I think that the writing could have really used some work, but I also think in a few spots it was, I'm just fucking with you, man. You know, on those like cooking like reality shows where you don't know if they're going to say they did a good job or not.
Yeah, I was breaking a sweat. I was like, oh my God, I was like starting to frantically get together notes. It's like, how do we talk about some of this?
I only have one problem with the movie, and it has nothing to do with the way that it's written or the way that it's done. It's more like how it relates to reality, but it's a movie. So, and it actually, I loved this movie. I thought it was fucking great. I think that it's relatable in some really interesting kind of ways. I think you can relate to all the characters, even though they're like a little crazy. I think
a little. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that Bradley Cooper was a weird pick at the beginning of the film, but then realized that he actually worked well with it toward the end. I was like, oh, okay, I get why they picked him then. Mm-hmm. So De Niro can fucking act. I mean, everybody did a good job. This was a little closer to when Jennifer Lawrence is really starting to become particularly well known. I can't remember how close this was to the Hunger Games movie adaptation that they did.
That's a good question. Same year. They were both 2012. Yeah.
And so I like the fact that that this is coming out. I kept my mind in the place of her as being a newer actor, like one that I hadn't really. I'm trying to think. Haven't seen this person often.
Yeah,
was kind of the way that I was trying to think of it. So yeah, I mean, for this movie, it was cool. It's a good story. The resolution is a little different than you would expect, and I thought it was great. So for me, this one's a definite yes. It's great. And honestly, like, I wouldn't even really call it a romantic comedy. I mean, it's what were you saying before? I called it normal, and you said it was normal adjacent.
Yeah, because it is definitely like, I mean, so the pick last week was normal versus weird, and compared to the other movie I had in mind, this is definitely normal. But compared to the cookie cutter romantic comedy, I do think that this movie does have a little bit of that quirkiness to it that might be what draws me to it. Versus like when you go watch the traditional romantic comedy, it doesn't start with the character getting out of a mental hospital from having a breakdown, which I think that's what draws me to this, is it points out that little fucked up side that everyone has, that little bit of weirdness that we all have inside.
Yeah, I really feel like where I was just kind of messing around at the beginning. I just had this feeling that you were like digging your nails in your hands, like, oh, you're about to get the fight of your life, boy.
No,
If
it
you don't
was
like
more,
this movie.
oh yeah. Well, speaking of though, I mean, let's spoil it. You ready? You ready for Terry to come out and ruin things? Because this
Come
is a
on,
movie
Terry.
you could kind of spoil. Like even like there are definite like spoilers for this. So yeah, like Terry could fuck it up.